You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Sounds like some bad movie.
I don't remember how this became a challenge.
At this point, we're the only ones that care. So
Yeah,
I'm going to move
true.
it and just say that we watched Deathrow Gameshow. This was written and directed by Mark Puro. He was kind of a pioneer of the 1980s direct-to-video market. Which at the time was kind of merging with the direct-to-broadcast television market. Cable was around,
Right.
but it was also competing with your cable channels. 24-hour movie channels were still competing with broadcast channels that showed movies because not everybody had cable at that point. A lot more people do now, obviously. And Mark Puro's first film was a Polish vampire in Burbank, and he shot it for something ludicrous, like under $2,000, and it went on to be it made millions of dollars between.
Yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah,
between direct-to-video and playing on USA Up All Night. I guess is that when Gilbert Gottfried was doing that?
You know what? Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and also like films like Deathrow Gameshow and a couple of his others, they were like Cinemax favorites. They were those midnight, it wasn't Skinemax even though it has nudity, but it was one of those late night Cinemax films, and that's how I ended up seeing it, back in the 80s. And it was also one of those films where Cinemax every single month always boasted out of all the cable channels that they had the most movies that they were showing. So, because of that, you'd get films like this. You'd get a lot of films like this. Just these low, like you said, micro-budget movies because, Cinemax, bring them in. We'll buy them cheap and we'll play them, late night, and we can say we have 350, 400 movies this month.
Yeah, I mean, and now with streaming video becoming so mainstream in the past few years, the younger generation of our listeners, those in their 20s, maybe even 30s, they are familiar with the direct-to-streaming market, which I don't even think they call that, and they're the same kind of deal. They're ultra-low budget, but it's a different kind of ultra-low budget because their budgets are still more than stuff like this, and they have like CGI, except the CGI that they're doing on their Mac. It's not, so you can tell it's bad CGI, but it's passable enough to get it out there. And I never saw this back then. This is the first time I've seen it this week. And
really?
Right, yeah, definitely. And it was a blast of the past.
Yeah.
Well, it reminded me of that era where if you had walked into a video store in the 80s, a mom and pop shop, because there were millions of them. You didn't have that many big chains at that point. And you walked around and you saw videos. Oh, let's rent this. This looks good. There was a good chance that you would rent a film like this with no budget, poorly written, and cranked out because they knew that just to have a title on the rack, it would sell to millions of stores.
No, you're right. You're right. And
I know that.
Well, yes. I can't agree with you more, sir.
You really can't.
I can't. Not this time. No, and if it weren't for the mom and pop store, well, in the 80s, the early 80s to mid 80s, the mom and pop store was when Blockbuster came in, the Palmer videos, even the dollar videos, the chain video stores really killed the mom and pop, and in turn ended up killing themselves. You know,
Yeah.
because it ended up spurring other things. More people wanted different ways to get their stuff, like pay-per-view, and now streaming and things of that nature. I mean, pay-per-view almost killed the video store because, and I've mentioned this on the show a few times, when a film came out, it came out on VHS and pay-per-view at the exact same time, on the exact same day. Mm-hmm. And they were finding that people were just, for the same price, maybe even a little cheaper, they would just stay home and they'd rent it. And
now we get everything from home.
That's right. So and there were all these things like, can I record it off a TV? Is that illegal? It was completely legal. So if you rented it on pay-per-view and you put a blank VHS tape in and recorded it, you had it forever.
What if you put a VHS tape in that wasn't blank and recorded that?
Well, that depended if the little tab was pulled off. If the tab was pulled off, then you couldn't record. But if the tab was still on, you could just record over what was on the tape already.
But was it still legal if there wasn't a blank tape?
Still legal.
Okay,
yes, it was.
Check.
All right. It's good that you brought that up. I wanted to make sure. I wanted
to confirm. I want to make sure we got that straight.
Drink more whiskey.
Dude, I'm your worst nightmare. I'm a writer. It's like I hear an unnecessary word and I pounce on it.
I noticed. For years.
Hey, come on. It's funny, though. It's funny.
Don't apologize. No, this is what we do. This is our banter. People come to the show for that. So anyway, they almost put video stores out of business.
And they come for the movie reviews.
Sometimes. This one has a little nudity in it, so this one might actually get a few more views.
Well, I mean, now...
I'm doing custom thumbnails when I can actually get a fucking video uploaded, and it's proving that it works to put the custom thumbnail.
Definitely. I mean, they do that with the fail videos, which I love on YouTube because I'm a sick bastard. And they always have like some hot chick bending over that's never in the fail videos.
But here's the difference between my custom thumbnail and theirs. I actually pull, if it's a scantily clad chick or whatever, it's from the movie. Mm-hmm. The scene is in the movie. So I'm not lying to you. It is there.
I wasn't accusing you of lying.
I know you weren't. You weren't.
Yeah,
so anyway.
This film, you mentioned the nudity. This film has three of the major hallmarks, three major stays, three major things that you would see in the majority of your direct-to-video schlock. And that was nudity, very slow pacing, and no production value whatsoever.
This is also true. Although, in its defense... for what they probably spent to make this film, it doesn't look half bad.
Well, sure. For the no money they put into it, it looks great. I mean, it's
and you could tell that the Mark Pirro probably had a few friends. It's like the scene that's on now is the interview with him and the woman and the older guy. And
you know what I love about that scene?
What's that?
It's when he turns to her and goes, "Listen, you stupid bitch." And he turns back to the guy. Can I say stupid? You know what? There are some. I got yelled at for laughing at a couple of scenes in this. I watched this with Holly, really? And at least every now and then I would laugh. She's like, "Don't you laugh at that, film." Said, no, that was actually funny. I like that. I just I get it. It's not genius, but he pulled it off.
No, it's what works.
Now that's John McCafferty, if I pronounced that correctly, who's in almost all of Pirro's films.
He is.
And he plays Chuck Toad. Now, this is one of those films where obviously it's lowbrow humor and the names are supposed to be funny. And his love interest is Robin Blythe, who plays Gloria Sternvirgin. That I get, because she's supposed to be like a feminist, Sternvirgin. The assassin is Luigi Papalardo, which is funny because it sounds Italian and silly.
Yes.
And there's a lot of great Italian stuff. We'll get that in a minute. But the main character, John McCafferty plays, who is the host of the Deathrow Gameshow, and who is which is a #1 best-selling hit, everyone loves it television show. so much so that his main office is in a closet.
Yeah.
Or actually someone's bedroom. It's weird. But his name is Chuck Todan, Toedan, and I don't get the joke. There's a joke in there somewhere, and I don't get it. I'm something is going over my head with the name Todan.
Well, and the only thing that I can think of is that, and I haven't looked this up, so I can't say if it's true or not, but maybe it's a take on for a toe tag. Maybe that's a different way to say it. I mean, I don't know.
I was trying to think of another game show host that they might be playing on their name on, and I couldn't come up with anything. I'm like embarrassed that I can't think of why Chuck Todan is supposed to be funny, because it's so awkward to even say because of the way it's spelled too. It's it's Todan. I don't get it. It's bothering me. It's irritating me that I don't get this joke, because it's got to be a joke. And I can hear Joey typing now as Google to try to solve it.
Well,
now,
yeah.
Just when I said pacing, I want to just give a perfect example of what hit me in the face early in the film. Is there's a scene where he leaves his house and he's heading to the studio, and as he's driving, they cut to a crosswalk and there's children crossing it, and it's in slow motion. And
right.
It takes, and they're showing it for like a good 10, 20, half a minute. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, slow children. And then he pulls up, and they're still crossing. And I'm like, no, I get it, slow children. And they show him, and then they show them crossing, and they pull back, and you can see a yellow sign, but you can't even see the whole sign. It's like, yeah, it's slow children. Can we speed this the fuck up, please? And then it cuts back, it cuts over to them talking, cuts back again. Now you can see the sign, slow children, and the joke has already been beaten to death before the reveal has even been given, and that is 50% of the jokes in this film.
Well, yeah.
And so the pacing is horrendous. You can tell, okay, we need to make this film an hour and a half, and we don't have the budget.
It's not even that long. I think it's only 80 minutes.
Yeah, within that range. Yeah, you're right. It's under an hour and a half. It's about the same length as. It's actually longer than Leatherface was when that came out in the theaters. But
yeah, that was. How long was the Leatherface was in the 70-minute range, like 78 minutes. It was like
minutes. 79 minutes, 78, 79, because they cut out all the gore, because that was when they were really coming down hard on horror films. And
yeah, this was 83 minutes.
Yeah, and there's just these places where, okay, we just need to stretch this. Another one is there's a flashback. The basic plot, and I'm not going to take too long with this, so bear with me.
Okay.
Is that he's the host of Chuck Todan is the host of the game show Deathrow Gameshow, which and he's hated by a lot of people because they bring out death row contestants, people on death row, and they're in these games where they die. Like, if you get the name wrong, if you get the trivia question wrong, you're decapitated, or
electrocuted or whatever.
I like the one where the guy's like, all right, you can have what's in this envelope or what's behind the curtain. And even I am suddenly like, the envelope, dude. Come on, the envelope. Obviously, there's got to be a stay of execution in the envelope. Come on, you got to know. He's like, I'll take behind the curtain. It's like, idiot. And sure enough, it's so obvious that you should pick the fucking envelope, because that's going to be a stay of execution. We know that. But then again, that's why the guy's on death row. He's not that bright. No. So, where was I going with that? Oh, no, the plot. Sorry. So
Yes.
Everybody hates him. Everybody hates him. People are picketing. People are threatening his lives. On top of that, the mafia is trying to kill him because he executed a mafia boss.
Mob boss. Yep.
Baloney, mob boss Baloney.
Which, ironically enough, that flashback is on now.
And it's a very self-aware movie too. Like the part was like, "Do you have time for a flashback?" Oh, all right. Well, it was this episode a while ago, and you go into the flashback, and especially the dream sequence. They actually have like opening titles for the dream sequence.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They actually take a good 2 or 3 minutes, again pacing, to introduce the dream sequence. The dream sequence is almost as long as the introduction to it itself. They're really just trying to be as funny as possible with this low budget, gimmicky stuff. But it works on some level, I guess. But yeah, he kills the Don in a very embarrassing way, and so they're trying to kill him, and so he ends up trying to bribe the hitman, and just accidentally kills the mother. the hitman's mother, and and then there's a love interest between him and the feminist who he falls for, and they try to survive the wrath of the angry Italian Luigi Pappalardo assassin. That's your basic.
I almost broke out Papa Giuseppe tonight, but
I was afraid of it was when they went out to dinner at the Italian restaurant. That's when I was thinking, Papa Luigi's going to be showing up. Oh no, Joey's this is not good. This is not good.
Yeah, his shirt was basically a napkin during that entire meal. I mean, what the fuck?
I didn't
seriously.
I didn't write down a couple of the things he said during that scene. That was the. There are two scenes. There are two scenes in the film that are the most insensitive to any kind of race or. It's between the Italian scene and the scene with the black convict who's been in solitary for 3 years, and they want to see if he's going to go for the chicken or the hot girl, and he looks like they just picked the freakiest looking tall black guy, and it's so wrong the way they. All they had to do was I don't know, they could have made it racially worse, but it was very inappropriate the way they did it. It wouldn't fly now. I will say that they had less black contestants than white contestants, so that was was nice.
Yeah, and during a time period where they probably didn't give a shit. Yeah,
although out of the two of them, one of them raped the chicken and the other one they hung. So not a good ratio. Not a good ratio.
That's true.
And I think the Borneo-looking chicken raper was probably the least offensive of those two. Okay.
It was interesting when I was watching the film again. I thought that it had a, like an LA look to it, and it was shot in California. But there are certain scenes in the movie that I'm like, did they shoot some of this on the East Coast? And it turned out that they shot nowhere near the East Coast. It was all West Coast stuff.
Apparently the West Coast has shitty areas too.
Well, yeah.
You don't see them as often. Yeah.
No, you don't. You always think it's palm trees and just gorgeous blue skies.
Again, it's like talking about the low budget, and it's kind of weird to watch this now because even low budget stuff now has a certain quality to it. We call it low budget because obviously that CGI is fake or this is it's not. We're talking the guy's supposed to be a huge celebrity. They go to his house and he's outside is this huge mansion and they're in his bedroom. The mattress is on the floor. Yeah. The bed's not even made properly, and there's like 2 pairs of handcuffs nailed to the wall and a chain like looped loosely, and like and like a cordless phone on the wall.
Right. Yeah,
here's the kicker: when he goes down to the living room to show out the girl that he spent the night with, we saw her breasts, and he's standing there talking on the phone. Behind him, here's his entertainment center. Did you recognize that entertainment center to his left with the glass doors?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's my bar in my house. I have that exact piece of that unit.
Do you really?
Yeah, it right now holds my liquor and my glasses. It's literally the exact fucking thing. That piece of furniture has followed my family from the 80s. It's not an antique, trust me. But I'm watching the movies like, motherfucker, that is exactly that piece. I have that piece of furniture in my living room. That's how low budget this film is. I own furniture from this film. If it was shot in this on this coast, I would honestly be seriously convinced that I might have purchased, our family might have purchased that from them in some kind of like yard sale if we hadn't known,
or thrift shop of some kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
It's literally exactly. Wow. But and I mentioned the death of the Don. Now the assassin. Luigi Pappalardo, he brings his mother with him because he wants her to see this Let's Make a Deal type game show. So she's wearing a costume, and the costume is the costume of a prisoner. There's another one. Okay, we know where this is going. Piero, can we speed this along? No. No. It takes us a good 5 minutes to get her into the Deathrow Game Show accidentally, and you're just beating your head against the wall. So she's wearing a striped shirt. All the contestants are wearing striped shirts. For the love of God, get her on the goddamn show. Just pulling this shit so slowly. And I didn't realize until I looked at the credits. Do you know who plays Mama Papalardo?
No, I know it's a dude. And I did look at
actor. It's the same actor that plays the Don boss, Spumoni.
Oh, it is?
I did not know that until I looked at the credits. I was just, that was, wow, okay.
Is
that was
it really? Wow.
It really is. So they got double duty out of them.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Mama Papalardo and Spumoni. Mark Lasky. My son, he's such a good boy.
Gets me out of this chair. He does his best Italian accent in the dream sequence. You will kill me, I will kill you. I am afraid of no one.
I'm afraid of no one. I remember that scene vividly. I'm afraid of no one.
Yeah. It's freaky. He just he just hits that voice. Like, whoa. Now,
it is a dream sequence. And here's the thing, too. I've been showing bad films or making people watch bad films for a really, really, really long time.
We're so good at it, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I have a VHS tape of this. It's actually in my garage. It's sitting on top of my fridge, and I'd go get it now, but it's not that big a deal. But I found that in a mom and pop store for like $1. And I'm like, holy shit, I used to watch this on cable all the time, so I bought it. And I immediately I had just started dating my wife, or my then girlfriend, now wife, at the time. So this is like 16 years ago. And I made all of her friends, we had a New Year's Eve party, I made them all watch it. And surprisingly, they didn't hate me at the end. Probably because alcohol was involved.
Possibly.
So, I think that made it more fun.
So you still own the VHS tape of this?
I do. Should I go get it?
No, I'm just saying because I still own the VHS tape of Die Laughing and The Wizard of Speed and Time. Those are like the two VHS tapes I'm still clinging on to. I had Doc Savage.
It's like right there. It's like 10 feet away. I should have brought it in.
Grab it if as long as Papa Giuseppe is not making an appearance.
No, he's not making an appearance. Not at all.
I wish I'd written down the one line that he says. Though. It was like that's the line where Joey's gonna lose it, motherfucker.
I'm gonna go get it. Hold on.
While he's getting that,
I got it. It's right here.
All right, fine. I'll stop.
It'll only take a second.
God forbid I say three things while you get out of your seat. I'm gonna be quiet now. I'm not gonna say anything. I thought he had it. Did he? He said he had it, right? And then I was trying to talk, and so he yelled to stop me, and now he's not there. So unless he's doing Papa Giuseppe, which would be a very, very bad thing, it's not good. We had talks. There was an intervention, and we had to put a stop to that. But what I will say is one thing I was mentioning about the pacing too. There's a scene when the Don Spumoni is killed on the show. They have a contraption where he has to.
Okay, if he gets I lied.
He'll electrocute
himself. I don't have it.
I'm talking now, so you can be quiet. Oh, you there? He's still looking for it. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. I was just killing time by talking about when I talk about the lengthening of scenes when the Don has the contraption on him where he'll be electrocuted if he gets an erection, and they bring the girl out to do a striptease for him. The striptease takes a good 5 minutes.
It takes way too long.
It takes way too... Most things in this film take way too long.
And every chick, except for Stern Virgin, every chick in this movie has fake tits. So they probably went to the local strip club and just hired a bunch of chicks. Hey, you want a day's work?
It's California. Attractive women trying to get into acting careers, you can find them cheap. I'm sure he had no problem finding actresses willing to take their tops off to be in a film.
Oh, I'm not contesting that at all.
The film does have a charm. Again, I laughed every now and then, and even the jokes that are just bad or you know are coming. There's the one, the secretary who keeps using the vibrator when he walks in, which again, 80s lowbrow humor. The whole thing with the messages.
Right.
I mean, and I'm going to reveal this one to the audience. You know, he asked her, "What are my messages?" Oh, somebody called for Mrs. Lowenbrow. Says, "Who's Mrs. Lowenbrow?" I don't know. Do you think it was a wrong number? Oh, no, they dialed this number right here. It's like, well, and what was the other message? Somebody called for Mrs. Lowenbrow. It's like, I thought she already gave me that. I think they called twice, and all I can think of is Tim Conway, Mrs. Wiggins. It's just like, it's that level of humor, except they don't pull it off as well as Carol Burnett's crew.
And it's almost true.
And it's almost like the guy. I mean, you can tell that Puro, that the guy writing and directing this film, grew up watching Carol Burnett show and things like that. It's those kind of jokes, that kind of humor, that kind of delivery. It really has that kind of sitcom skit episodic show feel to it. And again, it's got a charm, because I think the charm comes from the fact that even though it's a low budget film that's just trying to crank it out there to make money, you can tell they're still trying to have fun.
Yeah, and they succeed. And it's like you said, you laughed every once in a while. I really enjoy this film. It is a film from my childhood. No, it's a film from my childhood. I like it because it does take me back to that place when I was a kid. Because I watched this film, I can't even remember. Too many times I saw this, and most of them were on Cinemax. And I recorded it as well, so I actually had a recording of it, and then obviously I bought the VHS tape. So it's just, I know it's bad. I know it's really, slow and all that stuff, but
do me a favor.
It holds a small place in my heart.
Do me a favor, while we're talking about the film, because I got a feeling this is going to be a short episode, because there's not too much to say about this movie.
No. I mean, we're 40 minutes in.
Yeah, please, while we're talking, fast forward to the Italian dinner, so we can play a little bit of that.
Okay.
We have to play a little bit of that.
It won't be too far in.
Now the actor that plays Luigi Pappalardo, his acting name is Bino. That's his full name.
Yes.
And his real name, which he was here somewhere, his last name is Agundez. Bino is obviously not his real name.
Okay.
And
here's the dinner scene.
House wine, eh? Hey, do you believe in love at first sight?
No. Actually, there's no such thing. Most cases of love at first sight are usually mistaken impulses that accompany high blood pressure and a hardening of the arteries.
You're giving me a hard artery. My whole life I've been searching for a woman like you. A woman with your eyes, your face, your boobs, huh?
I always did attract the classy ones.
And rightly so. Luigi really likes you.
Oh, how nice. I like you too.
Oh, you got it. We share some emotions. I showers you with wealth. I take care of you. And hey, I got a pecker like a hat rack.
Okay, ready for the next question?
That's the one. I got you giving me a hot artery.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
It's not funny because it's funny. It's just funny because it's so inappropriate. The Italian music, if you're watching it, there's jugs of wine hanging behind him. He's
I mean, they even go as far as to have the checkered tablecloth, the red and white checkered tablecloth. It's like, Jesus Christ. Fucking basket of bread.
You're giving me a hot artery. And
you all know, we all fill up on bread before dinner, us Italians.
Well, obviously. One more. Go to the dream sequence and play that line where he says, "I'm afraid of no one." Just start the dream sequence.
Oh God, that's like forever ago.
Yeah, go back. But I mean, and I wanted to get clips ready for this, but I didn't have a copy of the show. I watched this streaming on Amazon Prime, which took me a while to get it because Death Row and Game Show are one word each, as opposed to Death Row Game Show. So I searched for Death Row as 2 words, and I couldn't find it. I was like, Joey told me it was on here, but yeah. And then I clued into my error. So
it's actually available elsewhere too.
Not Netflix, is it? I didn't check Netflix. You told me Prime, so I just assumed.
No, it's Amazon Prime. That's where it is.
Yeah. I just assumed it wasn't anywhere else because you mentioned Prime first. Usually, if it's on Netflix, that'll be the first thing you say. It's really indicative of just.
Who are you?
I'm Madame Quintus Pomoni, and I'm going to kill this son of a bitch. Him to kill on my ass. It's not my fault!
Went too far.
Tis your fault.
No, it's coming up, isn't it?
No, go back.
Here's the show.
It says twice you went too far. Go back.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
I did go too far.
Yeah, he says
here
once
it
at the
is.
beginning, but the first one's better.
The one in the beginning's better?
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is.
Just when the opening credits end.
Okay.
It's like a solid 2 minutes of opening credits before the trailer.
Yeah, I mean... Written for the brain and directed by David Lynch. Here it is.
We're going to kill you.
I'm not afraid.
You afraid of dying?
Such a weird dream sequence.
I'm afraid of no one. I'm afraid.
I'm afraid of no one.
No one.
And I'll tell you what, I remember that as a kid.
If I could isolate that, I'd have that on my phone.
I remember that as a kid, and I say that once in a while. In my head, I'm like, I'm afraid of no one. Like,
You know what that
I don't
dream
know, it
sequence
just
reminds me of?
Stuck with me.
Speaking of things that I remember from like that time period, 80s, early 90s, and I think this is from. I gotta look it up real quick to make sure I get the name right. I believe this was early 90s and not the 80s, but I could be wrong because it kind of blurred there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it came out while I was in high school. It reminds me of Dr. Caligari, 89. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's almost soft porn, but it's not. And it's very it's like they're trying to do like a style of again the Casket of Caligari, back vintage vampire German expressionist film, and they try to do that, but like in that 80s surreal Art Deco kind of, I don't know what the actual term is for the kind of movie that is, but that dream sequence, you can almost tell that they're going for the same thing, even though Caligari came out in 89, right. And Deathrow Gameshow came out in 89, didn't it? Or was that 87?
Do you want to see more of the dinner here? You want to hear more of the dinner?
Let's hear more of the dinner.
It's coming up.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2
times a night. Sometimes 2.5. You're gonna love your Italian lover.
Well, I'm conservative.
Religion means nothing to me. When I love somebody, they stay loved. You, a lucky, lucky girl.
Why me?
There's only been one other woman in my whole life for me.
Well, I'm sure if you went back to her, she'd welcome you with open arms.
Of course you would. She's my mother. I'd kill for her. I have killed for her. And I killed for you.
It's more of a visual, this one.
It's almost time for my mom to go out
because
of
he's just
show.
a fucking slob.
I want you two to meet. You got so much in common.
I can't imagine what.
You're both my favorite women. And you're both so beautiful.
Anyway. When then they fade out to his mother, who's a man.
Yeah. But did you ever see Dr. Caligari?
I never have.
I'd be tempted to challenge you to it.
Me?
But it's a very bizarre. It was really it's an 80s cult film. It's a very well-known 80s cult film. I know
of it, and I have seen some pictures and video, but I've never seen it.
It came out after Deathrow Game Show, but that dream sequence in Deathrow Game Show really has that kind of flavor to it, and a lot of people were doing that kind of stuff back then too. You know, David Lynch was coming around, and the weird and again, weird is cheap on video as opposed to actual reality.
Sure,
reality costs money. So,
like Eraserhead.
Parallel. It was just a parallel I had to mention because it popped in my head.
That one shot from Eraserhead with his hair, with the lighting and everything, one of the most iconic scenes you'll ever see on film. But I've seen the film Eraserhead, and I think I need someone to sit down with me and explain a lot of that, because there is some expressionism going on in that. There is some meaning in there that I'm just not getting in a lot of that film.
Here's the thing you got to know about David Lynch is that there is meaning, but not as much as you think. A lot of it's just, this will look good. This, it's all, it's not like watching, and I don't want to put any other names out there, but like, I don't know, I can't put any names out there because somebody out there will be like, well, that hack, so, which, and sometimes that'll be me. But you can't you can't read too deeply into anything like that, and half the times they do shit just so people will read into it themselves. So I mean, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I still have never sat through Eraserhead. I don't have the patience.
That's a hard one. I watched it, and it's not very long, but it feels like it is.
There's films like that, like Alphaville is another one, very expressionist, French. In my own self-education in films, I sought these films out and I watched them, and maybe it's like 10 o'clock at night and I'm putting it on, and there's just no way my attention is being held by this. Yeah, there's a lot of innovative stuff going on, but if there's no real plot or no real story that you can follow on any level, you're going to lose your audience sometimes. And sometimes I do well with films like that. It really just depends on what kind of imagery there is, grabs you. But even Dr. Caligari, the one I'm mentioning, gets kind of old after the first half hour. Like, yeah, oh, okay, oh no, the door sideways, I gotcha. Mm-hmm. And there's some funny, and he's just, when you sit through stuff like that, I can appreciate people that say that they don't like that kind of thing, because I understand why. Because sometimes you just want to relax and let the film take you, and not have to, what does the chicken mean? What did the chicken mean? Not the chicken doesn't mean the chicken doesn't mean anything.
Don't mean shit.
Right. I really don't have much else to say about this film except great Italian. I think it's a great addition to the Italian American heritage. I think it's right up there with The Godfather and Titanic. Okay. And
wow.
And I think they should. Look at America. I think they should remake the film. What do you think? Deathrow Game Show. They should make this.
Do it again? Didn't they? Didn't they call it Running Man?
Well,
came out the same year.
But all right, let's be fair. Stephen King was not the first person to come up with the concept of making a game show out of death row inmates. It's been a comedy staple. There haven't been many mainstream films done of it, right. But it's always been something brought up when talking about ever since I would say the 80s and stuff like Jerry Springer and Jerry Springer, that was their 80s, right? 80s and the 90s.
Springer was late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that whole thing. I mean, you had that lashback of people saying, "Oh, we're going to watch these freak shows. What are we going to do next?" And I mean, even Network,
like the Richard Bay show also was.
Richard Bay show.
Yeah.
But even Network played on the idea of if people are watching the news as entertainment, at what point do we, at what point are we creating the news simply to entertain? And that's a version of this. I mean, right. It's not a new concept, so we can't just say everybody ripped off Stephen King.
Well, I don't think this film has a big enough budget to say it ripped off anybody. I mean,
no, but even
it's
on a concept
possible
level,
that they were trying to beat a Running Man to the theater, but it didn't even make it to a theater.
What year was Running Man out?
87, same year.
I just think it's a general concept. I don't think. I honestly, I don't shy away from saying, this film I must have ripped off this or something like that. I just think the idea of putting death row people on television for entertainment has always been a topic of conversation, at least from the 80s on. So I don't see it as being that. I don't see it as being a competition with.
It does say it was released in the U.S. theatrically in December 1987.
Oh, because they probably had like a theatrical debut.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, it
falls within the rules of the show too. So
yeah, so that is possible.
Should we rate the film?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we should. It's been so long. I forgot our status. Right now it's 4.7. I would not give it a 5.
I would give it a 5.
You think a 5?
Yeah.
Why? Why a 5?
It's just average. Average movie.
Really? Average?
It's not above average.
It's not average, really?
Listen, I'm going by the fact that I still enjoy this film from my childhood.
You know what?
I won't be opposed to a 4 if you really wanted to, because I know it probably deserves it.
I'm going to bend with you on this because it is an ultra low budget film, but again, there's a charm to it that they're actually trying to entertain. They're actually trying to be funny. And I've seen films trying to be funny that it's not the Groove Tube. Let's put it that way.
Right.
I chuckled here and there, and I tell you, there's something about John McCaffrey. Maybe it's because he looks a lot like Tom Cruise. I think that
he's got Tom Cruise elements, but to say he looks just like him, I wouldn't. I want to see
this movie remade, but as like a dark comedy, and I want Chuck Todan to be played by Tom Cruise, but have Tom Cruise play it like the character from Magnolia.
Respect the cock.
Yeah, I want to see Tom Cruise in that mode playing this character, but for comedy. I could see it. And as Tom Cruise slowly gets to the point where he's got to stop doing fucking action films, he's going to hit a point where you're getting too old for this shit. I don't care how good of shape he is for his age. So when he does, he can start doing shit like this.
Yeah,
I think they could. I think they could do a serious film of this. I could see this made as a serious movie, not a comedy. You'd have dark comic elements to it, obviously. I could see this as a straight dystopian look at future entertainment in America, kind of like how they remade Death Race 2000,
right?
And how they actually pulled that off, where that was actually this is actually good. I can see this. I can see this made as a real good. Not big budget. Let's not go crazy, but definitely something that would make it in theaters and get a small kind of an acceptance, acknowledgement. Tom, if you're listening, this is your film. Jump on this. Yes.
He said that with a straight face, everyone. Just so you know.
He might.
You never know.
So I'm going to say 5 stars because I agree with you. It's only got 316 votes. No one's even bothering with this film.
This is why I think I'm going to be able to upload this tonight to YouTube and not have to worry about any kind of a copyright infringement. Now,
this one's all over the place. There's no kind of arc on this. The highest rating is 4 with 15.5%. The next highest rating is 10 with 13.6. It's all over the place. Wow. The highest demographic is 7.8 with females aged 30 to 44. But there's only 7 females aged 30 to 44 that voted for this film. So I think it was like one group of girls that got together for movie night, and then they all rated it.
You know what it is? It's like, oh, my mom's in this movie.
That. Now, I don't know why that explanation didn't come to my mind first. You're correct. The lowest rating in as far as demographics go is 3.7, and that's males aged 45 and over.
Okay. Is he going to eat the chicken, or is he going to take the woman? That's the scene that's on now.
Now, here's the thing with that, too. Again, I know it's a setup for a bad joke, but in my mind, I'm honestly thinking, okay, he's either going to fuck the chicken or he's going to eat the girl. And I don't know which way they're going to go with this. I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed when he fucked the chicken. Because I wanted to see him take a bite out of the girl. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I'm putting that out there.
Okay.